California, land of dreams, tech billionaires, Hollywood stars, perfect weather, $3.9 trillion economy, the fifth largest in the world, bigger than India, bigger than the UK. But underneath all that sunshine and success, there's a ticking time bomb that's about to vaporize the retirements of 2 million people and leave taxpayers holding a bill so massive it makes the national debt look like a rounding error. December 26, 2025. While you were digesting your Christmas leftovers and contemplating your New Year's resolutions, something ominous happened in Sacramento. The California Public Employees Retirement System, CalPERS, the largest public pension fund in America with $556.2 billion in assets, quietly released a report that should have made every taxpayer in the state pack their bags and head for Nevada. Even after near-record returns in the past year, CalPERS was only 81% funded as of September 30, 2025. Let me translate that from bureaucrat speak to English. They're $166 billion short. $166 billion short of being able to pay what they've promised to retired teachers, cops, firefighters, and state workers. And that's just CalPERS. Add in CalSTR, the teacher's pension and you re-looking at over $265 billion in total unfunded liabilities across California's pension system. But here's what really keeps financial analysts up at night. That $166 billion shortfall. It's based on some very optimistic assumptions. The kind of assumptions that would make a used car salesman blush. And when those assumptions fail if WHE on the entire thing comes crashing down, taking your taxes, your city services, and possibly the entire California economy with it. Buckle up, because this story has everything. Secret investments that lost 71% of your money. Wall Street bankers collecting fees while your retirement burns. Cities literally going bankrupt, and a legal system so broken that nobody, not the government, not the courts, not even the governor can fix it without triggering an economic catastrophe. Welcome to California's pension apocalypse. Population, everyone who lives here, including you. Let's start with the basics, because understanding how bad this is requires knowing how pension math is supposed to work. A pension is a promise. You work for the government for 30 years. In exchange, they promise to pay you a percentage of your salary every year until you die. Simple, right? Except it's not, because the government doesn't actually save the full amount they'll need to pay you. Instead, they invest your contributions, along with taxpayer money in stocks, bonds, and other investments, hoping those investments grow enough to cover what they owe. CalPERS assumes they'll make 6.8% returns every year, forever, through recessions, market crashes, pandemics, you name it, 6.8%. Like clockwork. Now, the S&P 500, that index of America's biggest companies that every financial advisor tells you to buy has averaged 10.4% returns over the past 20 years. So CalPERS should be crushing it, right? Their assumption is lower than the market, so they should be ahead of schedule. Wrong. Over the past 20 years, CalPERS achieved an average return of 6.8%. Oh wait, that's their target. Their actual return. Let me check my notes. 6.8%. They're hitting their target. Barely. Which sounds fine until you realize that CalSTR has achieved 7.6%, and both are far below the S&P 500 average of 10.4% for the period. So while the market is making 10.4%, California's pension funds are making less, significantly less. Despite charging you the same fees, despite having billions to invest, despite supposedly hiring the best and brightest investment managers, it's like being in a race where everyone else is driving a Ferrari and you in a Honda Civic. That's also towing a trailer full of bricks and has a flat tire. But surely you're thinking they're investing responsibly. They're being careful with our money. They wouldn't do anything stupid, right? Wrong again. Let me tell you about the single dumbest investment decision in CalPERS history, and that's saying something. In 2007, back when people thought clean energy was the future and Al Gore was making PowerPoint presentations, CalPERS committed $465 million to something called the Clean Energy and Technology Fund. The pitch was beautiful. Invest in solar power. Save the planet. Make money. It's win-win-win. What could possibly go wrong? Everything. Everything could go wrong. CalPERS committed $465 million. They actually paid in $468,423,814, and by March 31st, 2025, the remaining value, $138,045,373, that's a loss of 71%, $330 million, gone, poof, vanished into the California sunset like your retirement dreams. Oh, and remember those private equity managers who were supposed to invest this money wisely? They collected at least $22 million in fees and costs. They got paid $22 million to lose $330 million of your money. It's like paying someone $220,000 to burn down your house, and then thanking them for the learning experience. But here's where it gets truly wild. When reporters filed public records requests to find out exactly how they lost all that money, details on where the money went, what companies got funded, what decisions led to this. Disaster CalPERS refused to release the information. They cited a California law that exempts alternative investments from public disclosure. Translation? We lost $330 million of your money, and we're not going to tell you how. It's a secret, for your own good. Trust us, as David Loy, legal director for First Amendment Coalition, put it. The public should have a right to know how public money is being invested, apparently not in California. Now, you might think that losing $330 million on clean energy would make CalPERS a bit more cautious, maybe stick to boring, safe investments for a while, lick their wounds. Instead, they doubled down on the exact same strategy that lost all that money in the first place. In 2001, only 11% of California's pension assets were in alternative investments, private equity, hedge funds, real estate, the complicated stuff that requires trust and usually loses money. By 2024, 37%. More than one-third of your retirement is now in opaque, high-fee risky investments that nobody can properly value until it's too late. CalPERS has more than doubled its shares in private equity over the last 4 years, from 6.3% of its total assets in 2022, 17% in 2024, and they're replanning to go even higher, 40% of the portfolio in private assets. Let me put that in perspective. They're retaking $500 billion money that's supposed to fund the retirements of firefighters and teachers and putting 40% of it into investments, so complex and opaque that even the people running them Q1 tell you what they really worth. And those private equity fees, they're estimated to cost CalPERS 6 to 7% per year. Read that again, 6 to 7% per year. That means these investments have to significantly outperform the broader market just to break even after fees. They have to run faster just to stay in place. And here's the punchline. For fiscal year 2024 to 2025, CalPERS' overall returns were 11.6%. Private equity returned 14.3%. Public equity, regular stocks that you can buy with a phone app, returned 16.8%. The simple stuff outperformed the complicated stuff by a lot. After accounting for those massive fees, private equity probably didn't even beat a basic index fund. Mark Joffe, public finance expert at the California Policy Center, asked the obvious question. If you can get these kinds of returns on the public markets, why bother with all the complex private equity investments? The answer? Nobody knows. Or rather, nobody will say. Because admitting they're gambling with your retirement to justify their jobs would be awkward. But the really scary part isn't what's happened so far. It's what happens when the music stops. Time for a quick civics lesson. Bear with me, this is important, and the reason California's entire pension system is a loaded gun pointed at every taxpayer in the state. Under the California Supreme Court's rulings, there's something called the California Rule. It prevents the reduction or impairment of vested pension and retirement benefits once they've been vested. Translation: once a government employee earns a pension benefit, it can never be reduced. Not if the market crashes. Not if the city goes bankrupt. Not if California itself goes broke. Never. Which means the state pension fund's deficit is ultimately taxpayers' responsibility. Every single dollar of that $166 billion shortfall that's coming out of your pocket, whether you like it or not. But surely you're thinking there must be some way out, some legal workaround, some let me tell you about 3 cities, Vallejo, Stockton, and San Bernardino. Their stories will make you understand just how trapped California really is. Vallejo was the canary in the coal mine. Population 175,000, filed for bankruptcy in 2008 because of corruption or fraud. But because of mounting pension liabilities, they spent 3 years in bankruptcy court, cut services to the bone, fired half their police force, made residents wait 30 minutes for ambulances during heart attacks, and their pension obligations completely untouched. The California rule wouldn't allow it. They exited bankruptcy in 2011 and immediately went back to struggling with their budget because they still had all the pension costs that bankrupted them in the first place. Then came Stockton in 2012, population 300,000 at the time, the largest American city to ever file for bankruptcy. They had $900 million in long-term debt, most of it pensions and retiree health care. The bankruptcy judge, Christopher Klein, remembered that Name asked the obvious question, why not cut pensions? Why should bondholders get pennies on the dollar while CalPERS gets paid 100%? CalPERS' response: essentially, try it and find out. They argued that if Stockton rejected its CalPERS contract, the city would owe 1.6 billion Australian dollars termination fee, and California law gave CalPERS a lien on city assets to collect it. It was financial blackmail, dressed up in legal language. Judge Klein didn't buy it. He ruled that federal bankruptcy law trumps California law, that the California rule is unconstitutional, that pensions can be cut in bankruptcy just like any other contract. In his words, CalPERS has bullied its way about, in this case, with an iron fist, insisting that it and the municipal pensions it services are inviolable. The bully may have an iron fist, but it also turns out to have a glass jaw. Boom. Legal precedent. Pensions aren't sacred. They can be cut. But then this is where it gets truly insane, Klein approved Stockton's plan anyway. The plan that didn't cut pensions, the plan that paid CalPERS 100% and gave bondholders 1%. Why? Because Stockton showed they could pay their bills going forward with massive tax increases. So the precedent exists to cut pensions. But no city has actually done it. They're too scared of CalPERS, too scared of the unions, too scared of the political backlash. San Bernardino tried a similar dance in $2,012,492 million in debt, filed for bankruptcy, ultimately settled with CalPERS without cutting benefits. 3 cities, 3 bankruptcies, all caused by pensions. And not one of them actually cut pension benefits. The legal power exists, but politically, it's impossible. So if cities can't cut pensions and the pension funds are running out of money, where does the money come from? You. It comes from you, through tax increases that city councils dress up as public safety measures or infrastructure improvements. The option that many cities have already taken, and dozens of others are considering, is to raise local taxes, especially sales taxes, though only rarely do they tell voters that the new revenue is needed for pensions. They sell you on better police patrols, new fire stations, fixed roads. But the reality, the money goes straight into the pension black hole. Los Angeles's pension costs ballooned from $435 million in 2005 to $1.1 billion today. San Diego went from $191 million to $228 million between 2015 and 2017, and it's accelerating. Every year, as more baby boomers retire and live longer, the costs go up and up and up. Right now, California has over $265 billion in pension debt. That's over $6,000 in pension debt for every state resident. Every man, every woman, every child. $6,000 just for pensions. And here's the really fun part. As taxes go up to pay for pensions, people and businesses leave California, which reduces the tax base, which means higher taxes on whoever's left, which causes more people to leave. It's a death spiral. And California is in the early stages. Remember those optimistic assumptions I mentioned? The 6.8% returns CalPERS needs to hit every single year. Let me tell you what happens when they miss that target. April 2025. President Trump announces new tariffs against nearly every country. The stock market crashes. CalPERS loses about $25 billion in 2 days. Scott Chan, chief investment officer at CalPERS, told his board, "I would say that potential risks here are unprecedented. They are world-changing." He warned of a recession, a potential drop in stock markets of 20% or more. CalPERS held $516.5 billion on Monday morning after losing $15 billion in 2 days. They've since recovered, but think about what that means. A 20% market crash, which is entirely possible and has happened before, would wipe out $100+ billion from CalPERS. Combined with the existing $166 billion shortfall, you're suddenly looking at $266 billion Australian dollars whole, divided among California's 39 million residents. That's an additional $6,800 per person. Men, women, children. Every single Californian suddenly owes nearly $7,000 more to make the pension fund whole. And California's own legislative analyst's office, the state's financial watchdog, warned in their report. It now appears time to take seriously the notion that the stock market has become overheated. They re-suggesting CalPERS recovery to 81% funding might be a new high watermark before another downturn. Let that sink in. California's own analysts are saying, this might be as good as it gets. Prepare for worse. According to analysis from earlier this decade, 10 additional California cities are on the brink of bankruptcy. Atwater, Azusa, Compton, Fresno, Hercules, Monrovia, Oakland, San Jose, and Vernon. They're all struggling with the same problem: pension costs that grow faster than revenues. It's only a matter of time before one of them tips over the edge, and when that happens, everything changes. So let's game this out. Let's talk about what actually happens when, not if. California's pension system implodes. Scenario 1. The soft landing spoiler. It's not soft. The state and cities gradually raise taxes to cover the shortfall. Sales tax goes up another %. Property taxes climb. Income taxes, already the highest in the nation, go even higher. Rich people and businesses accelerate their exodus. Tesla already left for Texas. Oracle went to Austin. Palantir moved to Colorado. Every major company is looking at the map thinking, why are we still here? The tax base shrinks. Remaining taxpayers face even higher rates. More middle-class families decide Nevada or Arizona doesn't look so bad after all. Services get cut. Not the pensions, those are protected, but everything else: schools, roads, police, fire, parks, all the stuff you actually use, gone or degraded. California becomes a state where a shrinking number of wealthy people and businesses fund an ever-growing number of retired government workers. It's basically what happened to Illinois, but bigger and faster. Scenario 2. The bankruptcy wave several mid-sized California cities, crushed by pension costs they can't afford, file for Chapter 9 bankruptcy simultaneously. But this Timon, like Vallejo, Stockton, and San Bernardino, one of them actually uses Judge Klein's ruling. They cut pension benefits. CalPERS sues. Unions sue. The case goes all the way to the Supreme Court. And here's where it gets interesting. The Supreme Court has to choose between California law pensions are sacred and federal bankruptcy law all debts can be restructured if federal law wins. Every pension in California is suddenly negotiable. The California rule of the thing, protecting those benefits, gets tossed out. 2 million pensioners wake up to learn their guaranteed benefits aren't so guaranteed after all. If California law wins, cities literally can't file for bankruptcy to escape pension costs. They just spiral into insolvency with no legal way out. Either way, California's cities are screwed. Scenario 3. The bailout, aka how your federal taxes save California's mistakes. California goes to Congress with hat in hand. We need a bailout. Our pension system is failing. Millions of retirees will be destitute. Please help. Congress has two choices. Option A, bail them out, which sets a precedent that states can make insane promises, mismanage the money, and then get rescued with federal dollars. Every other state with pension problems looking at you, Illinois, New Jersey, Connecticut, immediately gets in line for their handout. Option B, let California fail, which means millions of retirees lose their pensions, cities collapse, and the world's fifth largest economy implodes, taking a significant chunk of the U.S. economy with it. Neither option is good. Both options are catastrophic in different ways. And the political fight. It would make the debt ceiling debates look like a kindergarten tea party. Oh, and remember that headline about the governor being in shock about the pension collapse? Here's the truth. He's not in shock. None of them are. They've known about this for years. The reports have been sitting on their desks. The actuaries have been sounding the alarm. The financial analysts have been publishing white papers. They're not in shock. They're just hoping, praying that it won't collapse on their watch, that it'll be the next governor's problem. Or the one after that. It's the most expensive game of musical chairs in history. And when the music stops, everyone holding office is going to be blamed for a disaster that took 30 years to create. If you made it this far, you understand something most Californians do. Your state government has sold your future to buy votes today. Hit subscribe if you want to watch this slow-motion train wreck continue, because trust me, this story is far from over. Until then, check your property tax bill, because it's about to go up again.